the normal ratio. So once I have that in place, this is going to be my, and I'm going to choose rename. And then for this one, I'm just going to change this to main plane. And then that tells me anytime I click on this, anytime I transition to this, no matter what, it's just going to be a plain thing that's happening, just me right here on the screen. So the next thing that I want to do is I want to build onto this. So I'm going to duplicate it here. I'm going to right click on main plane and I'm going to hit duplicate. And then I'm going to do main with a ticker. And then what that gives me the ability to do is add a I'm going to ticker be screen. If you look, this is going to know what's going on over lock icon here. So it's just kind of like a fail safe. Click on plus, and then I'm going to go to text, and then here I'm just going to make sure that says text of what it is that what I'm going to do is I'm going to go using. This is a really cool thing about OBS is it lets you select different fonts, so you can make sure that things are matching up with your branding and all of that. So I'm going to select a different font. I'm going to hit OK. And then I'm going to click OK on this as well. Once I have that in place, then I can grab the text and I can bring it down. Now, as you can see, it's really small right now. So on a mobile device, this would be pretty much impossible to read. So I'm going to grab one of these corners and I'm just going to start moving it. And as you can see, that's going to scale that text up and make it a little bit bigger and a little bit easier to read. From there, I'm going to just bring it down the screen. And then because I have this selected, I can just tap on the arrow buttons to kind of fine tune it as far as getting it into the right place that I want it to be. And then as you can see over here in the sources section, this is at the very top and it's covering up the TubeBuddy logo and it's just not very flattering right now. So in order to fix that, what I have to do is I have to take the text and I have to bump it down a notch. And then now I've got that nice looking fade going in and out. So my text comes in, fades back out, the logo's still there and everything still looks nice, neat, and clean. So what I'm going to do now is I need to make that text move. So I'm going to click on the plus sign and then I'm going to click on scroll. And then here, I want to show you this real quick. Let me move this over to here. And then I'm going to click on scroll. And then here, I want to show you this real quick. Let me move this over to here. So when I move this horizontal speed, you can see the text is going to start to move. Now, I can make it really fast to where, people are reading it really fast and all that, or I can slow it down, make it something a little bit more reasonable to where, people are reading it really fast and all that, or I can slow it down, make it something a little bit more reasonable. In this case, I'm going to go with like a 31. That's fine. So it's still coming along. It's still moving along, but it's not so much that it's ridiculously distracting. So once I have that speed, I'm going to hit close. And then as you can see, the ticker is going to be flowing along there nicely during any time that I want that to show. So now we have two scenes. We have the main plane and then we have the main ticker, okay? So the next thing that we want to do is we're going to duplicate that main plane again, and I'm going to call this one cam with chat, okay? Now with this one, we're going to do that same exact thing where I'm going to go to the plus, and I'm going to add an image here, and this is going to be, I'm just going to call this one background because there's not a lot that's going to be happening in this scene. So I'm going to find that, and then I'm going to bring it in. Now, as you can see right here, the area that I have right here, it's already taken away. So I saved this image here out of Photoshop as a transparent PNG. Okay, so basically I removed the background layer so that I could save it so I'd be able to see through this. Now, another option that I would have had was to make the same graphic, but actually put a square on the screen in this area and then grab my picture or my video image there and scale it down and try to fine tune it to make sure that everything is in the right place and the right size. But what I'm gonna do instead is I'm gonna lock this background so I'm not clicking on it. I'm gonna click on the webcam, and then now you can see when I move this, because I have that area transparent, it doesn't have to be perfect. I can just move it in, kind of scoot it into place, and then fine tune it a little bit with my arrow keys, and then there we go. I don't have to spend a ton of time sitting there trying to make everything match up. And in addition to that, I also get a little bit of a drop shadow over here to kind of give it a little bit of an additional look, so to speak. Now, the next thing that we want to do is something that I get asked about a ton, and that is showing the chat on the screen, because we have to put it in this little area over here so that viewers can see the live chat for this particular scene when we show this. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to bring my live streaming page over, and I'm going to show you how to do this. When you go to your live streaming page on YouTube, you click here, and then you click on Pop Out Chat. When you do that, they're going to give you a URL up here at the top. You want to copy that, and then you can close it. And then after you close that, you can actually just move that right out of the way or close the window or whatever, and it's okay because you have that URL. That's all that you need. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go down to plus in my scenes, or in my sources, actually. I'm going to go down to plus. I'm going to choose browser source. Here I'm going to make this chat as the identifier. And then you can see here there's already a URL here going to OBS project, but I'm going to override that with my YouTube chat, okay? That URL that I just got. Now, because I've already built this for, the thing that I'm doing with TubeBuddy, so I've already built this, I already know that the width of this is going to be way too big. So I'm going to take the width of this down to 520, and I'm going to take the height to, let's say, let's do 890, okay? From there, I'm going to hit OK, and then you'll see the chat is now popping up on the screen. I just grab that, and I bring it over here and get it into place, okay? I could leave it like this, and it would be perfectly okay. I mean, if it just looks like this and you have the white on there, it's fine. But if you look at this from a design standpoint, I have all of these dark elements. I'm wanting people to focus on the TubeBuddy logo down there, which, by the way, if you don't have TubeBuddy installed yet, I've got a link to that in the description. But I want to draw people's attention to the TubeBuddy logo, and I want them looking at my screen. I want them looking at the chat as well, but I don't want them to be overwhelmed and distracted by what's going on in the chat. So what I have to do for that is I have to put in a CSS code, which I have in a notepad here, and I'll actually put this as a resource link down in the description below. But I have some CSS code that I'm going to drop into this chat option right here. So I'm going to right click on chat, I'm going to hit properties, and I'm going to delete this in the CSS area right here, and then I'm going to paste in all of this code right here. And again, I'm going to have a resource link to this down in the description, so you'll be able to get this same exact code down in that description if you want this. And then I'm going to hit OK, and then you'll see that it made my text bigger, and it also took away that background, so now it's not as distracting. It's still distracting, especially when it's all moving around, but it's not as distracting. So what we've done there is now we have this chat area so that people that are watching can see their chat come up on the screen, right? So I'm just going to click on something there, and then that fills that box out, and you can see right there, as you can see, can you see this that I put down there? It completely fills that box out and makes everything look nice and clear. Now, to be picky, I would want to scoot this down here just a tad, because that's a little bit too tight up there at the top for me. So I would bring it down to something like that, maybe bring up the bottom a little bit, but you can fine tune yours when you're making your graphics for your live stream. So now we have three chats. Now we have three scenes, in here. We have the main plane, we have the main ticker, and then we also have this, which is our cam with chat. So we're starting to create, a nice production here, right? Like, this is looking really professional. It's looking great. Everything is nice and organized, real easy to follow what's going on. And a really awesome thing about this is down here in the sources part, you don't have just a humongous pile of stuff down there, right? You can just switch it as you need it instead of having a bunch of things that you have to sort through in order to make these same things happen. And you don't have to drag things around all the time and resize the frame and all of that. So this makes it so much easier. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to copy the main plane again. And this one is going to be split screen. Now, this comes in really cool if you are a gamer or if you are a business owner and you want to have your screen and then you also want to have something happening on the side over here to where you can have like your social media information, or you can have like a product that you're talking about, or you can have bullet points of what it is that you're talking about while keeping yourself on the screen. This part is really cool. So what I'm going to do here is I created that split screen scene. And as you can see in the sources here, the only thing, again, that we're starting with is just the webcam by itself. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go and I'm going to grab the image that I made. And then with this, you can see I'm kind of, you know, covered up there or whatever. But the graphic over here is where you would put, there we go, is where you would put the, you know, any additional information that you have. But what you would do in this case with the webcam is I'm going to lock that. And then with the webcam, I can just take this, drag it over, just like this. And then there we go, I'm nice and centered. So let's say that I'm talking here in the main plane, and then I want to say something about, you know, whatever it is that I'm talking about, then I would click on this, and you can set this up. You can set up a bunch of these so you can just rotate through them as you're talking about things, or when you want to, you can go to the cam chat and things like that. So now that we have this in place, I want to level this whole thing up to really make it pro. I'm sure you've seen the news where, you know, they're talking about something and then they transition into something else, and then they have like a logo or some type of graphic that comes up on the screen to actually make that transition to happen and make it kind of smooth and pro looking. Well, that's what we're going to do. So what we're going to do for that is I'm going to click on studio mode over here. And that's going to split the screen. So if you're not familiar with OBS right now, if you're not familiar with OBS yet, basically how this works is over on this side of the screen, the one that has the ticker on it right now, this side of the screen is basically a staging area. And then the other side of the screen where we have the split screen, that is actually what would be live that your viewers would be seeing right now. So if you're recording something in OBS or if you're actually streaming in OBS, the one over on the right where the split screen is right now, that is your actual live area. That's what's actually being streamed or recorded. And over on your left, that is your staging area where you actually build everything and you get it ready to go over. So what we're going to do here is we're going to add that transition so that we can really make this look cool. So here I'm going to go over to the scene transitions. I'm going to hit play, and it's okay because you have that URL. That's all that you need. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go down to plus in my scenes, or in my sources, actually. I'm going to go down to plus. I'm going to choose browser source. Here, I'm going to make this chat as the identifier. And then you can see here, there's already a URL here going to OBS project, but I'm going to override that with my YouTube chat, okay? That URL that I just got. Now, because I've already built this for, you know, the thing that I'm doing with TubeBuddy, so I've already built this, I already know that the width of this is going to be way too big. So I'm going to take the width of this down to 520, and I'm going to take the height to, let's say, let's do 890, okay? From there, I'm going to hit OK, and I bring it over here and get it into place, okay? I could leave it fine, but wanting people to focus on description, but I want to draw people's attention to the tube home and distract a CSS code. But I have this chat option right here. So I'm going to right click on chat. I'm going to hit properties, and I'm going to delete all of this code, this same exact code down in that description. It's bigger as distracting. It's what we've done. People that are watching on, can you see the nice and clear? A little bit to the bottom, a little live stream. I mean, in here we have the main plane, we have the main ticker, And then we also have this, which is our cam with chat. Great, awesome thing about stuff down there, right? You can just switch it as you need it instead of having a bunch of things that you have to sort through in order to make these things. So this makes it so much easier. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to copy the main plane again. And this one is going to be split screen. Now, this comes in really cool if your information that you're talking about is just the graphic over here is this. You can see I'm kind of, covered up there or whatever, but the graphic over here, additional information that you have. But what you would do in this case with the webcam is I'm going to lock that. And then with the webcam, I can just take this, drag it over, just like this. And then there we go, I'm nice and centered. So let's say that I'm talking here in the main plane, and then I want to say something about, whatever it is that I'm talking about, then I would click on as you're talking in place. I want to let something and then the screen to actually. So what we're going to, and that's going to split basically how this works. This side of the screen, recording where the split or record to go. I'm going to select Stinger. And it's going to give me the, and then for these other here, the transition, if you have audio, you would go down to monitor only with mute output. Okay, and then as you're playing it, if you're doing your stream, you have headphones in, and you want to be a part of the show in terms of listening to what's going on, then that gives you the ability to do it. So I'm going to hit OK. Now this is where the transition. I'm going to hit the plus sign, and I'm going to hit icon transition, and then now that icon transition's in there. So here, icon transition for the viewers. So basically, it does that instead of making, I can hit the, where you can graphics that you choose. Now what we're going to do is we're going to take this, and I'm just going to, and you can all positions that you want. Just hit it to take me in. You can do, if I scroll down, you're going to see this option right here, something cool way. What you can do is, I'm going to go into my settings here. I'm going to show you something. Under the general, what you can do is, I'm going to go into my settings here. I'm going to show you do this in like a really cool way. What you can do is, I'm going to go into my settings here. I'm going to show you do this in like a really cool way. What you can do is, I'm going to go into my settings here. I'm going to show you something really cool way. What you can do is I'm going to go into my settings here. Do this in like a really cool way. What you can do is, I'm going to go into my settings here. I'm going to show you something. Under the General tab, if I scroll down, you're going to see this option right here for studio mode, transition to scene when double clicked. Transition. Same thing would happen if you wanted to do a fade, right? You see how it just fades it all around? And the same thing happens if I want to do the icon transition. So let's say that I'm sitting sitting here and I'm talking about something for a while, and
why does my heart go on beating? Why do these eyes of mine cry? Don't they know it's the end of the world? End of the world. Stay in the light.
So now you decide.
Forgive or condemn? Condemn.
What's going on, people? Today has software have asked me, Jack, how do you do it? How do you set it up? I'd love to set it up, similar to you. So today's a quick one, maybe a 10 to 15 minute max tutorial, basically breaking down how I do it. So on screen is OBS, and I have actually downloaded a whole separate screen recorder called like Screencast or something, so that I can accurately screen record my screen recorder, which usually I also use OBS to do screen recording as well as streaming, because it doubles as a, start recording or start streaming. It's got two different options. You can either create output files, as in create a physical file, or you could just stream it and create like a online file or whatever by live streaming. Anyways, essentially I'm going to show you how to do it. So this is an example scene. Ignore all my kind of scenes. Everything will look kind of fresh for you. I just set this up because this is kind of what I'm going to be walking you through creating today. All right. And without further ado, we're going to be jumping into it. So pretty much what I want to do is actually go here to plus, and I want to click add, and it's going to add a new scene. And let's actually call this example scene 2. And we're just going to open it up. Now, when you make a new scene, nothing will be in there, which means if you start scene 2, and let's actually call this here to plus, and I want to click add, and it's going to add a new scene. And let's actually call this example scene 2. And we're just going to open it up. Now, when you make a new scene, nothing will be in there, which means if you start recording, it'll do nothing. In fact, you probably haven't even set your output settings or anything, right? So first off, let's build a scene, and then finally we'll set like our output settings so it actually records it properly for us, all right? But what we want to do is go down here to plus again, but in the actual sources, not the scenes, because the scenes is, the creating the actual scene. The sources is the stuff inside of the scenes. So we go to sources, this little thing here, go to plus, actually go to video capture device. Let's go ahead and click it. Let's press OK. Now it's going to load up here. What's going on, Jack? How you doing? I'm very good. Thank you for asking. And it's pretty much loaded it up a little bit weird. So first off, let's go to the resolution, go to custom, and type in 1. So it's already jumped to 1920 by 1080. If you've only got a 1080p or a 720p webcam, do 1280 by 720, whatever. Only got a 10, go to custom and type in and OK. Thing here, go to plus, actually go to video capture device. Let's go ahead and click it. Let's press OK. Now it's going to load up here. What's going on, Jack? How you doing? I'm very good. Thank you for asking. And it's pretty much loaded it up a little bit weird. So first off, let's go to the resolution, go to custom, and type in 1. So it's already jumped to 1920 by 1080. If you've only got a 1080p or a 720p webcam, do 1280 by 720, whatever. Then let's go to configure, and some of this stuff might be on by default, but everything looks okay right now. Go there. There we go. So just like wait, this Adam 22 no jumper live stream is, if we start playing the video and start Twitter right here, is add a desktop audio. I have wave, and let's actually just go ahead and set our main microphone and press OK. And just like that, we now have waves coming on right there. And actually, what that's also going to do. And just like that, we now have waves, and let's actually just go ahead and set our main microphone and press OK. And just like that, we now have waves.